They say you can't choose who you fall in love with, but they never warned me I'd fall in love with something that wasn't supposed to exist. My name is Elena Frost, and I'm an artist living in the forgotten corner of Portland, Maine. Studio apartment on the 5th floor of a building that smells like mildew and broken dreams. 32 years old, divorced, chronically alone, the kind of alone that echoes in your bones. I painted at night, always at night. Something about the darkness made colors more honest, made my hands steadier, made the voices in my head finally shut up. It was 3:47 a.m. on October 9th when I first saw him. Not a man, not exactly. I was working on a piece I called Hunger, all reds and blacks, abstract figures reaching for something just out of frame. My window was open because the radiator was broken, and the apartment felt like a furnace even in autumn. That's when I felt it. Eyes on my back, heavy, patient, predatory. I turned around slowly, brush still in hand, and there he was, standing on my fire escape. 7 feet tall if he was an inch, pale skin that seemed to glow in the darkness like bioluminescent fungus. Eyes completely black, no whites, no irises, just endless voids that somehow still managed to convey intelligence. And hunger. His mouth curved into something that might have been a smile if smiles were supposed to have too many teeth. I should have screamed, should have called 911, should have run. Instead, I asked, "Do you like it?" I held up the painting. My hands weren't shaking. That should have been my first warning that something was wrong with me, that maybe I'd been broken long before he arrived. He tilted his head, studied the canvas, then looked at me with those impossible eyes, and spoke in a voice like gravel scraped across silk. "You paint what you are, empty, reaching, starving." "Yes," I whispered. Because he was right. God help me, he was right. "I can fill that emptiness," he said, stepping closer to the window. Not threatening, just inevitable. "If you let me in. Have you ever wanted something so badly you didn't care if it destroyed you? Keep that thought, you'll need it." I didn't let him in that night, but I didn't close the window either. He came back the next night, and the next, always at 3:47 a.m., always patient, always watching me paint. We talked about art, about loneliness, about the difference between existing and living. His name was Cain. At least that's what he told me to call him. "My real name," he said, "would make your ears bleed and your mind fracture. Human tongues weren't designed for the language of the hollow." The hollow, that's what he called his world. A place that exists in the spaces between seconds and the shadows that don't quite match their objects. In the silence that follows a scream. "What are you?" I asked on the 5th night. "What do you think I am?" "A monster." He laughed. It sounded like wind through a graveyard. "Close. I'm what monsters fear in their nightmares. I'm what evolution gave up on. I'm hunger given form and consciousness." "What do you eat?" His smile widened. "Souls. Specifically the parts of souls that people don't want anymore. The grief, the rage, the memories that keep them awake at 3 a.m. I consume emotional waste, and in return I give peace." "So you're like a supernatural therapist? With better teeth?" I laughed. Actually laughed. And that's when I knew I was in trouble. Because you don't laugh with monsters unless part of you wants to become one. On the 7th night, I let him inside. He moved through my apartment like smoke, touching nothing but somehow making everything feel different. Claimed. He stopped in front of my latest painting, a self-portrait where my face was half shadow, half light. "You're starting to see," he murmured. "See what?" "That you're already halfway to my world. You've been standing in the doorway your whole life, Elena. Too afraid to step through, too broken to step back." He was right. My ex-husband used to say I was emotionally unavailable. My therapist called it dissociative tendencies. My mother just called me cold. But with Cain, I didn't feel cold. I felt seen. "Show me," I whispered. "Show me what you really are." He hesitated. First time I'd seen him uncertain. If I show you, you can't unsee it. Your mind will change, your perception will crack. The world will never look the same. Good. I'm tired of this world anyway. He extended his hand. Long fingers, too many joints, nails that looked more like claws carved from obsidian. I took it. This is where you should stop watching if you believe some doors should stay closed. But you won't stop, will you? Neither did I. The moment our skin touched, reality peeled back like wallpaper soaked in acid. I saw his true form. Not the beautiful nightmare standing in my apartment, but what existed beneath. A thing made of shadows and starvation and ancient loneliness. A creature that had walked the earth since humans first learned to fear the dark. Beautiful in the way a black hole is beautiful, terrifying and magnetic and absolutely inevitable. And I saw what he saw when he looked at me. A soul so fractured, it looked like stained glass. Pieces of me scattered across decades of disappointments, rejections, abandonments. A woman who'd given up on being loved so thoroughly that she'd stopped being real. "I can make you whole," he whispered, and his voice was inside my head now, wrapping around my thoughts like silk around a throat. "I can fill every crack, feed every hunger. All you have to do is let me in. Completely. What's the cost? Your humanity, your mortality, your ability to exist in daylight. Small prices for someone who already lives in darkness." I should have said no, should have pushed him away, should have remembered that fairy tales warn us about making deals with monsters for a reason. But I was so tired. Tired of being alone, tired of feeling like a ghost in my own life, tired of painting hunger instead of feeding it. "Yes," I said. He smiled and kissed me. His mouth was cold, tasted like copper and ozone and something sweet that had no name in human language. I felt his essence pour into me like liquid shadow, felt it racing through my veins, rewriting my DNA, transforming every cell. It hurt. God, it hurt. Like being unmade and remade simultaneously, like dying and being born in the same breath. But underneath the pain was pleasure so intense it felt like madness. Every nerve ending firing at once. Every sensation amplified to the point of transcendence. I understood in that moment why moths fly into flames. Because some things are worth burning for. When he finally pulled away, I collapsed. My apartment looked different, sharper. I could see colors that didn't have names, could hear the heartbeats of rats in the walls, could smell the fear of the woman 2 floors down having nightmares. And I was hungry. So desperately hungry. "It will pass," Kane said softly, helping me stand. "The first hunger is always the worst. Come, I'll teach you how to feed." He took me to the hollow that night. That space between spaces where creatures like him, like us, existed. Where the rules of physics were suggestions and time moved like honey. I met others there. The changed ones. Humans who'd made the same choice I had. Traded humanity for something darker, something eternal. A woman named Vera who'd been changed in 1873. "Best decision I ever made," she told me, her eyes gleaming silver in the non-light. I was dying of tuberculosis. He offered me forever. I took it. A man named Marcus who'd been changed in 2007. "I was going to jump," he said quietly. From the Golden Gate Bridge, he caught me, offered me a different kind of fall. They all had the same story, broken people finding wholeness in monstrosity, and none of them regretted it. That was 6 months ago. Now I paint during the day what little I can tolerate before the sun becomes painful. But my real work happens at night, hunting with Kane through the shadows of Portland, feeding on the emotional darkness that humans carry but can't process. We're not evil, not really. We take what people want to lose anyway. The veteran's PTSD, the widow's grief that won't fade, the teenager's self-hatred. We consume it, and they wake up feeling lighter. They call it a good night's sleep or finally turning a corner. They never know we were there. My ex-husband reached out last week, said he was sorry for how things ended, said he'd been thinking about me. I looked at his message and felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity, just hunger. I deleted it. My mother called yesterday, said she's worried about me, that I sound different, that I look pale in the photos I post online, the few I take in careful lighting, heavy filters hiding what I've become. I'm fine, Mom, I lied. Never been better, actually. And it's not entirely a lie. I'm not fine by human standards, but by the standards of the hollow, I'm thriving. Cain says I'm adapting faster than most, that my soul was already so close to breaking that the transformation felt more like homecoming than change. He's probably right. We're bonded now, mated, in the language of the hollow. He feeds from my art. The darkness I channel onto canvas is pure emotional energy for him, and I feed from the souls he brings me, the broken humans who need relief from their own minds. It's symbiotic, it's eternal, it's love, just not the kind they write about in romance novels. So here's what I need you to understand. Monsters aren't always what you think they are. Sometimes they're what saves you. Sometimes they're the only thing that sees you clearly enough to love you completely. And sometimes the scariest thing isn't becoming a monster. It's realizing you were always meant to be one. I don't regret my choice. Not when Cain holds me as the sun rises and we retreat into the shadows together. Not when I feel his presence in my mind, constant and comforting and completely alien. Not when I look in the mirror and see eyes that are starting to lose their color, fading slowly toward that endless black. My humanity is slipping away piece by piece. In another year, maybe 2, I'll be fully changed, fully his, fully hollow. And I can't wait, because for the first time in my 32 years of existence, I'm not alone anymore. I'm not empty. I'm not reaching for something I can't name. I found it, or it found me. Love and monsters. Turns out they're not opposites, they're not even separate categories, sometimes they're exactly the same thing. If this story made you uncomfortable, good. That means part of you recognized the truth in it. Comment below. Would you make the same choice? Would you trade your humanity for eternal love with a monster? Be honest. The hollow is listening.